Hi, and welcome to your Mingo Smart Factory Kit. So inside of this box is a kit to connect any of your machines where we're not talking to a PLC. On the outside of the box, you'll have the machine name and the node number associated with this specific hardware kit. So make sure to install this on that machine because we've already set up all the connections to the cloud based on this information. Inside of the box, there'll be a few things. One is the TL70, or what we call the hockey puck. So this is the actual wireless node that holds the count from whatever sensor we're using or the machine and transmits it wirelessly to the gateways and up to the cloud. And then we'll also have a 110 power supply and a cable assembly. In addition to that, there'll be a field wireable connector that'll be appropriate for the type of sensor you're going to use. And then there's also a nut here that you can use on the TL70 to attach this to the outside of a cabinet, for example. That's very common. People will put a hole in the cabinet and screw this so that it's on the outside of it. One thing to note, when you place the TL70s, make sure that it has a clear line of sight to the DXM gateway. You don't want to put it on the other side of a cabinet facing away from the DXM or behind, a concrete wall with a lot of rebar in it. And then there'll also be original instructions for the TL70 inside of the box as well. So to assemble this, when you first get it, the TL70 won't be connected to the cable assembly, but what we'll do is we will rotate this until it clicks in, and then we will screw this in. Okay. And then you'll notice that we do have a 110 power supply here. The 110 power supply is optional. You only need to use it if you have 110 power at the machine. Sometimes that's easier than pulling machine power. The other way that you can do it is you can provide 24 volt DC to the TL70 instead of using this power supply. So some people will cut the ends off and then use this cable to be able to connect that to power from the machine. Other people will use the flying leads on this particular cable to do that. So you may also have a sensor inside of your kit depending on what the deployment looks like. The engineers who are working with you from our team will make sure to explain that, and there'll be some instructions there. And then we have a field wireable connector for different sensor types too. The other thing to note is that the cable assembly has flying leads. So if we're going to connect this to a discrete output, for example, on a machine, the most important wire here is the gray wire. So this is what takes the counter, this is what takes the discrete input from the machine or the sensor, basically just ones and zeros, opening and closing, right? And then the node itself will hold a count, and then that count is sent up to the cloud. Okay, so a couple of reminders: make sure that this is typically outside of a cabinet, has clear line of sight to your wireless DXM gateway. The gray wire is the most important wire on here. This is what gets wired up to the sensor or a relay or an output on the machine and actually detects the count. And then this is the power supply that can be used for 110, or you can provide 24 volt DC to power the wireless node. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to support. The support contact information is on the inside of the box. You can also scan the QR code for some more helpful videos on how to set this up.